Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome to the bonus show. Let's talk about sports a little bit here. And I'm sure you've been following this, David. The 76ers, the NBA team, the 76ers, just had a 19-win season. That is very low. And they essentially did it on purpose. They tried to lose as many games as possible to secure what is roughly a 20% chance of getting the number one draft pick for next season.
Okay, so how widely documented is it that they were trying to throw games? And if so, why didn't they lose more games?
Well, the owner called the 19-win season a success. That right there, I think, is all the proof you need that this was basically all just in an attempt to get a high draft pick and to kind of hopefully stack up the roster for next season. They were dealing with some injuries, and on top of that, they just really didn't have the best team to begin with. So is it, let me just ask this, is it ever okay for a sports team who presumably has fans to do this in hopes that it will help them be better in seasons to come?
Well, it's really tough to say. Okay, so sometimes teams will trade away good players for future draft picks, knowing that they will be a worse team for the next 2 to 3 years, right? So they are making decisions that will make them lose more games. Is that okay? Does anyone have a problem with that? I mean, I don't have a problem with that strategy.
I guess that is a valid strategy, although a lot of people do get upset when teams do that. But I mean, I guess overall, the general consensus is that is a thing that's done and that it's okay.
Okay, if we accept that it's okay to trade away good players, knowing you're going to lose more games because eventually you will be better or have a shot at being better, it's not really any different, is it, to lose more games during the season to have a chance at being better in the future? Now, of course, the difference is if the team, if people buy tickets to individual games and the team's not even trying, that's ridiculous, right? You would say, well, what am I buying a ticket for? To see them deliberately lose. If the team trades away players and they're not going to be good for a while, they're still presumably going to try to win those games. So there's still going to be the spirit of competition if you buy tickets. That would be a difference. But the strategy of not doing as well in the short term to do better in the long term seems like a valid strategy in sports.
Yeah, it's something about, I don't know, something about a team that is supposed to be part of a sport that is all just competition. It just seems weird to me that the association would basically allow this to happen. And you can see it. I mean, it was allowed to happen, and the team basically stopped playing basketball. It's just a weird situation. We'll see what happens.
Is there any chance that they could be penalized by the league for this? I mean, it's very hard to prove that people are deliberately losing games, too. You could be just playing players that aren't as good, and they are playing, but they're just not that good, so they're not going to win.
Yeah, it might be hard to prove. So I don't know what's going to happen. It seems like nothing's going to happen. It seems like they're going to get some high draft picks. That's what's going to happen. But anyway, it's a crazy situation. I'm glad none of the teams I like are this have sunk this low, I guess you could say, or are this desperate. Let's talk about alcohol. We talk about alcohol a lot on the bonus show. Powdered alcohol just got the go-ahead by the U.S. Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau. So what is it? Well, some of it is just like powdered vodka, but some of it has additives and flavorings and is essentially a powdered mixed cocktail that you just dump into water and you've got whatever, a cosmopolitan. Have you heard about this stuff?
I've heard about it a little bit. It seems like it's going to open up the door to all sorts of interesting stuff. People baking the powders into cakes and all sorts of stuff, right?
That is true. Garnishing food, baking. you name it. But I'm going to call this. There are going to be kids that start snorting this stuff. Am I wrong?
No, yeah, that probably will happen, and it will be probably a disaster.
It will be a disaster. And I can't even imagine the effects of snorting alcohol. I mean, it hits you quick enough when people start giving themselves the enemas with this stuff. But yeah, I predict that some kids are going to die from this.
So this will be sold at liquor stores. That'll just be like little powder packets sold there.
I assume it will have to be sold in liquor stores, and we should start seeing it by fall. I don't know if it's going to be countrywide, but I do like this. But I wonder if this is like if there's one company making it, it seems, and I wonder if the stuff actually tastes good. I wonder if I dump the Cosmopolitan mix into the appropriate amount of water, if it will actually taste like a good cocktail. For starters, I wonder how quality this stuff is. And if it picks up, I'd like to see what happens when there are actually really high quality versions of this stuff. I'm also kind of curious to know how they make it, but it's probably not as interesting as some of the other scientific things we talk about.
People
But
could
anyway,
potentially rub moonshine powder on their gums like people do with cocaine.
That's true. That's true. As like an oral anesthetic, perhaps.
That's not exactly the usage I was thinking of, but yeah, that might be an application.
Right. Well, antiseptic. Who knows? Who knows, David? The possibilities for powdered alcohol are endless. Mark my words, people will be snorting this stuff. And it's probably easier to hide from the police, too, if you are a youth. Just got a little packet of powder, right? That's what I would do. I'm trying to load a webpage here, but it's not working. I have a story here from Will. Will's always sending me great stories. And the webpage isn't loading. Luckily, I pretty much already read all about it. There it is. It's about a solar plane, a Swiss-made solar plane that is basically built for a around-the-globe flight. It is not a huge plane, but its wings are longer than a Boeing 747. It weighs only about as much as a large car. It's a propeller plane. And in theory, it is a plane that can fly forever. You get it above the clouds or whatever, it can fly forever. I guess it can store up enough juice during the day to last through the night, and it can go forever. So you've got a plane that can fly forever here, David. Tell me what the problem is.
Well, the plane does need to land, right? It needs to be able to land and take off, because otherwise, what's the point of a plane that's just flying around if it doesn't transport people from place to place, unless you want to live on the plane? Also, it seems like it would be a problem that the parts, I mean, you can't just run an engine indefinitely, right? I mean, it needs to be maintained. It needs to be checked.
You mentioned the exact problem they're having, and it was the people, right? You still need to have people operating a plane that can fly forever, but it's not easy to stay on a little plane forever, is it?
No, it's not.
So the pilots, they want to know how the pilots are going to be able to handle this. And they're saying that the trip, which will happen next year, that's a long time, kind of. Well, anyway, would take about 20 flying days spread over 3 months. Is that what they're saying? I don't know. But the problem here is, how do you get these pilots to move around, to stay sane when they're in this tiny little plane for an incredibly long amount of time? There is an autopilot feature, and they're saying that the plane has enough room. Well, they're saying first it has a very comfortable seat that can recline. But they're also saying that there's enough room in the back for you to lie down or move around, work out a little bit. And it seems like it's going to be a two-person operation. So there will be 2 people on the plane.
Yeah, so a couple of questions. Don't they need to bring a lot of food on the plane? And also, does this plane have a bathroom?
It does have a bathroom. Yes. I would assume that the waste is not stored, but I could be wrong. This does not get into those details. I mean, that's added weight, and it adds up over time. But then again, presumably it's weight that was all on the plane anyway, because matter is not being created. If anything, it's the same weight, because you got the food, you eat the food, you poop out the food, same amount of weight on the plane, right?
Yeah, probably less, right? Because you're
Right.
obviously using food to power your body, and some of that is being dispersed as energy. Yeah, I don't know if that's really the main thing, but this is definitely interesting. I have absolutely no interest in being involved in any kind of early test of this, but I will follow it. I'm always interested in new aviation type stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the amazing thing here is that they have a solar-powered plane that can fly indefinitely, and that is great. But like I said, it's not that big. It's not like this would be a huge passenger plane.
Yeah, the way that the power requirements right now are such that you probably are the solar panels all along the wings? Is that the way it works?
I believe so. Yeah, that's got to be why it has such a large wingspan.
Yeah, so you need such wing area for the solar panels, and all to move very few people. So of course, to really be disruptive in some way, this needs to be incredibly more efficient. And that all comes down, this is like a common problem actually with solar power, which is we have solar panels generally that only harness a very small percentage of the solar energy that comes in. And that if that is increased, that would be a game changer for solar power.
Indeed, it would be. Yeah, the efficiency is just not quite there yet. Getting better, but not where we need it to be. So there it is, the Swiss-powered solar plane. Great stuff. Thank you, Will. Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on it, I guess. We're always following solar projects. And that's all I got, David. Anything to add?
I've got nothing today. No, we will very soon be making an announcement about the 5th show, the Friday show. So that will be very exciting, I think.
Very good. Thank you.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.